this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make profit trading CS2 skins. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. And now, just before we actually get into the first method of this video, I'd like to point out that I'm currently giving away this survival knife vanilla factory new in my Discord server. And all you have to do is make sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube, and then join the Discord, which will put the link in the description down below. Then you can enter through there. So yeah, that's it. Good luck to everyone who enters. And let's get right into the first method of this video. So the first method of this video is going to be skin to skin trading. Now basically what skin to skin trading it means is that you take an item on your inventory. So let's say I wanted to trade this Bowie or kukri knife, and then you try to trade it for a better item. So let me give you an example. So what most people would do in this situation is they would come onto the Steam, then they would click community, discussions, and then as you can see, forums for your recent games. We have the Counter-Strike 2 session, which is obviously the one that we're going to be clicking on. And then if you go down a little bit in the sub forums, you see there's a forum for trading, and then if you click there, you'll see there's plenty of posts every single minute of people wanting to trade stuff for other items. So let's take this guy for an example, looking for a knife. I can then click on him, click offer a trade to him, and it will then give me this option in here where you can then see what is in his inventory. So let's say, well, he wants a knife. What does he have? So let's say my knife is worth around 60 euros, but these items are worth right around 70 euros. I can then trade my knife for his skins, and if he accepts, well, then I've technically made $70. Now, it's very important to remember that it requires a lot of market knowledge in what is liquid and what is not liquid, because yes, you can trade your knife for something that may be worth more on paper, but when you actually go to trade it again, it might be nearly impossible for you to trade away, because not all items are very desired in the game, even though they are expensive. Now, the best way to figure out if something is liquid or not is making sure that you go in here. So let's say the M4 Black Lotus like he had, you can then go in here and then you can see how many has actually been traded. So as you can see, there's only 75,000 M4A1S Black Lotus and field tested sold. So that's something you gotta take into consideration and make sure that you don't trade something that's illiquid for something that may be yours that's liquid, because then it's gonna be way harder for you to trade it away and actually make a profit. Plus, it's also very important for me to point out that it's not easy to do this method, because you gotta be really good at negotiating, because most of the people you're gonna be trading with on the Steam market is most likely some whale who's obviously not going to want to take underpay for his items. He's most likely going to want you to overpay. And the main reason is because they got a bigger reputation in inventories. They don't really care. Like, if you don't want to trade with them, well, then you just go on to someone else and trade with those instead, you know? But even then, like, it is a decent method. I've done it myself before and I've made a little bit of profit, but it's very hard because you got to be really stubborn. And most people are obviously very stubborn when doing this method. But with that being said, there's not much else to cover around skin trading. It's very simple. You just trade your skin for someone else's skin in hopes to make a profit, and then you keep building up your inventory that way. But yeah, there's not much else to say about this method, so let's just get right into method number 2 of this video. Now, the second method of this video is going to be cash trading. Now, if you don't know what cash trading is, it's basically the same as skin trading, except one of the parts is obviously paying with cash. So let's say I wanted to sell my Desert Eagle Komecha Dragon here, a very nice play skin, but I've got tired of it and now I want to sell it. Well, then I can go onto Twitter, just like right here, and I'll just take one example like this guy right here. So let's take Sipple for an example, because he's one of the bigger traders. Then what you can say is like, hey, you go message him, you say, hello, I would like to sell my Desert Eagle Komecha Dragon, and then he's gonna be like, all right, let me go check the price. Well, let's say it's 20 euros right now once he's float up buff 163. Well, what is he gonna do? All he's gonna do is gonna be like, okay, well, I want to pay 5% less for it, because obviously he's trying to make a profit. And the reason why he can do it for 95% buff and you can is because he's got a reputation. So he's way more trustworthy than you are, because you're probably brand new into the trading market. And there's obviously plenty of accounts doing this on Twitter. You could take Anomaly, he does the same thing, where he's like, I'll buy skins for below buff price, and then once he's bought something for below buff price for cash, then he'll go list it for obviously buff price and then make a profit. Now, I will point out that this is a lot harder to do than skin to skin trading, because you do need a reputation before you can start doing this. Because if you don't have any reputation, no one's gonna want to trust you with you purchasing their items or them selling their items where you have to obviously go ahead and buy them from them. So even though this is more effective technically than skin to skin trading, it's a lot harder to get into, because you obviously do need a bit of a reputation before you can start doing it. Now, I personally recommend that you use Twitter in order to do these cash trading deals, but there is also certain Steam communities where you can do it, and there's also Discord servers where you can obviously do this as well. But yeah, with that being said, there's not much else to say about cash trading. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. You do need a bit of a reputation, but once you actually get started doing it, it's great overall. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into method number 3 of this video. Now, the third method of this video is Tradeups. Now, I've obviously covered a lot of Tradeups on my channel already, which you guys already know, but they're like pretty easy, because obviously you just go buy the items and then you try to hit a trade up, and yeah, if you hit profit, then that's great, obviously. Now, the downside to doing trade ups is, so let's take this trade up for an example, right? So you got these Scar 20 enforcers and you got these dual Berettas, and as you can see, oh, there's potential I can hit the orb ice cold, which is obviously great because you're spending what, $8 and you can make like $10. But the downside to it is, you know, you can also lose money. So like it's kind of a risky business doing that way, you know, like you're not guaranteed to make a profit at all, which is why I'd only recommend doing this if you're like very low budget, because this is not really that great. Like it's very straightforward. You just buy 10 inputs and then you go trade them up, and then if you make a profit, then that's great, and you can sell it on the Steam market or CS Float or whatever you want to do to make a profit. So yeah, I feel like that kind of covers trade ups overall. So yeah, let's get right into method number 4 of this video. Now the fourth method on this video is gonna be marketplace arbitrage. Now what does marketplace arbitrage mean? Well, it basically means you go buy an item from one marketplace and then you go sell it on a different marketplace for a significant higher price. So let me just show you an example of how that works. So let's say I'm on buff 163 and I see this field tested MP9 Starlight Protector for 50 euros right now. Well, let's say I go buy 10 of those for 500 bucks, obviously. I then hold them for a week, and then you go look at Steam, and as you can see, the cheapest MP9 Starlight Protector in field testing condition right now on Steam is 77 euro, which means if you buy items worth 500 bucks, this is obviously not calculating the tax, and then you go ahead and you sell these 10 items on the Steam market, then that will be 770 euros, which means you've made just 270 bucks, basically doing nothing because you bought something for so much cheaper on buff 163 compared to Steam market, which means you're gonna make a great profit just buying on a different marketplace and then selling it on Steam a week later. Now obviously this doesn't work for every single item because you gotta remember there is a 15% fee, so it's not like overall like super great, but it's still pretty insane if you think about like how you can make 200 bucks within like a week doing absolutely nothing. And that's obviously why I wanted to put this on the video. Now this goes for every single item. You can do it with the cases, you can do it with knives, you can do it with reds, you can do it with anything that's kind of liquid, plus where you obviously see there's a big difference between the third-party marketplace and obviously the Steam marketplace. But yeah, there's not much else to cover about this method. It's very simple. You just buy cheap on one marketplace and then sell it for more on a different marketplace. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's get right into method number 5 of this video. Now method number 5 of this video is going to be pattern/float trading. Now basically what this means is you're going to try to find weapons with a special, let's say, pattern or float listed for significantly cheaper than what's actually worth on the market. So let me show you an example of how that works. So for this example in this video, I've decided to go for the 5/7 cami. So as you can see, obviously it's worth around like 1 to 2 euros between field test and min wear condition, which isn't really that much. But if you put in the pattern 909, which I mean, I think like some of you guys obviously know what pattern that is, you guys will be able to see that it's worth over 400 euros. Now this is not super common that you get these sales, but there is actually situations or, you know, coincidences where people have gotten really good patterns on certain weapons for way cheaper than it is, but basically marketplace price, and then being able to sell them for a huge profit. Now obviously this does require a lot of knowledge within the market, at least for the patterns. Obviously if you can do this exact same thing but with floats. So let's take these hedge mages field testing condition. As you can see, the cheapest right now is 6.1k, which is obviously very expensive. I don't expect any of you guys being able to afford that, but that's besides the point. As you can see, the cheapest field tested right now is 6.1k. Well, gloves are very important when it comes to float, because if you got a low float field tested, it's going to be worth a lot more than obviously the field tested in a high float. So if you guys see this example right here, 9 days ago there was a pair in 0.15 being sold for 10k. That's nearly double the price because of the float. Now this doesn't really work on different marketplaces like CS Float, Upfixing Free, but you might be able to get a good pair of gloves or something like that, or a different weapon obviously, for way cheaper on the Steam market, and then you'll be able to go ahead and obviously flip it on CS Float above 163. But then again, this also does require a lot of scouting, because like once these deals are up, they're not up for long obviously, because people want to get these items for, you know, as fast as possible, because I mean there is actually a lot of people doing this. But yeah, there's not much else to say about this method. It's really great. Like you just gotta know the patterns, you obviously gotta know the floats of items, and if you know they sell for more, well, they just go cop them on Steam or whatever and then sell it on a different marketplace for more. And yeah, that's it for the 5th method of this video. So let's get right into method number 6. Now the 6th and final method of this video is going to be stickers/cases. Now basically you can't really flip stickers, capsules and cases. That doesn't really work. But what you can do is you can actually go ahead and invest into them. So a couple of days ago I suggested some of my viewers that they bought the glove cases for around 10 euros on the market, and as you can see, I've got 10 of them right now. Now they're around 10 euros on the market obviously in CS Float during the time, and now if we take a look at the glove case, it's nearly 12 euros, and obviously it's just going to keep rising slowly over time. So basically what's important to know about this is obviously if you go ahead and invest in cases early on and then hold them for, you know, a year or two, then there's the potential that these sticker capsules or cases are going to go up over time, which we've obviously seen a trend with like ever since the game has come out basically. So this is more like a boring method, but it's very effective, because like you just buy them and then you store them away in a storage unit, and then you take a look at them in a couple of years, and then you've made some pretty good profits. So overall this method is very safe and it's very stable. All you got to do is just hold the capsules for like a long amount of time, and then you're probably guaranteed nearly to make money on them. But yeah, with that being said, that is going to mark the end of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on it and obviously subscribe and leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.